What's up, guys? Jeff Cavalier, AthleanX.com. Today I want to talk to you about how to build bigger biceps with lighter weights, because it can absolutely be done. As a matter of fact, it better be done if you're looking for your best bicep development ever. You see, metabolic training is a component of your training that has to be in place if you want to see peak growth and development of any muscle that you're trying to develop, not just your biceps. So let's see what it looks like in action so you can start to get a feel for what I'm talking about. This right here is a bicep curl, but it's a little bit different than a regular bicep curl, because the goal here is to accumulate not just repetitions, but to accumulate metabolic breakdown. In other words, increase metabolite production from rep after rep after rep. As I start to fatigue, I want to chase more fatigue and chase more burn and more burn. And I want to be able to dwell in this. And you can see that I'm not just changing color, but this is what I'm actually doing inside the muscle as I continue to lift. Now the weight selection, I would take what I would normally use for 5 to 8 reps, which would be about 60 pounds, and I'm going to drop that down in half. So here I'm using about 25 or 30 pounds. And the goal is you shave off the top 5% and the bottom 5% of the range of motion, because I don't want to give myself an opportunity to pause the momentum of this rep at any single point. You see, if we go to the very top, I can stop moving the dumbbells, or I can stop at the very bottom. That tends to be where we do that. But if I shave that off and I give you the main instruction of move the damn weight and never stop moving, keep the same tempo up and down and up and down and up and down, you will start to feel that burn, and that is what you should be chasing. Now I'll explain to you in a second of why that actually is causing muscle growth, but you have to realize this technique is not one that we have to do in exclusion of everything else, but it's one that we have to do in inclusion to the other methods that we use and we're used to using for training. We know we need to add weight to the bar. We know we need to use heavy weights. We know we need to be able to progressively overload either via weight or volume, but that is going to run into a wall after a point. We need to have other methods. This is going to complement it and actually give you more growth. I could apply this, as you see here, to an incline curl. Same thing, just shave a little bit off the bottom, a little bit off the top, and keep that dumbbell moving. We'll get the same response. But there's another way that we can actually chase metabolic overload, and that is by taking an exercise where the peak tension occurs in the most contracted position of that exercise. So for me, for the biceps, it's a spider curl. And you can see here that via the position of my body on this incline bench, the peak tension is occurring when that dumbbell is all the way up at the top. Now, the key here is not to let the muscle drain. Get the metabolites to start being produced by having this high level of tension in that peak contracted state, and stay there. Go down as low as only the mid-range and come back up to the top. And now do the same thing. Rep and rep and rep and rep and rep. And you'll start to feel this intense burn. But what I'm saying to you is that this is what you need to chase. When you get there, you don't stop. You dwell in it. You try to sit there and revel in that pain and discomfort, because again, that is where the magic happens. And you could have turned the original bicep exercise into the same kind of exercise by adding a band to the dumbbells. Because by doing so, we've now complemented that strength curve to add an additional peak tension at the top of the rep. So now, how is all this happening? Why is all this working? Well, if you look here, this is our blackboard, by the way, guys. When you look here, forget the whiteboards, they're out of style. You basically have a muscle cell. Okay, I'm going to keep this really, really simple. And inside the muscle cell, the more you start to lift, you get the accumulation of all of our different metabolites. And I'm talking about potassium, I'm talking about lactic acid, I'm talking about hydrogen, I'm talking about chloride. All of these things start to accumulate inside the muscle cell. And we know from biology that the more stuff that starts to accumulate inside of a cell, the more that concentration is, the more there's a tendency for water to enter the cell to try to diffuse that and try to equalize the concentration inside and out. So if we start to increase all those metabolites being produced here, again, lactic acid, phosphate, all those things are starting to be produced. Water wants to flow into this cell to try to diffuse this. There's too much of a concentration and there's too little hydration and water inside the cell. So all that starts to rush in. Well, what happens at that point? With all this water and hydration rushing into this muscle cell, you start to get inward to outward pressure on that cell. So it starts to push on the walls in this direction. Now, this isn't true muscle growth. When this cell is starting to get pushed out this way, that's not the growth that you're looking for, where you're going to walk away and get bigger and feel stronger and bigger the next day. What I'm talking about is that is a stimulus because of the pressure on the cell that requires that that cell adapts and responds by ultimately growing bigger. So what you're chasing here is this gradient, and by increasing this, and the more that you can increase these metabolites, the more you can resist that burn, the more likelihood you're going to have to be able to drive stuff into the cell, the fluids to be able to push out and create a bigger and bigger response. Now, guys, this type of training, as I said in the beginning, is not exclusive. If you only use this and you're using light weights to accomplish this, where are you going to get your heavyweight training in? Because all three methods of hypertrophy have to be in place if you want to see your best results. However, if you're not using light weights because you were told a long time ago that it's impossible to build muscle with them, that is wrong. It's actually 100% wrong. And in order to see your best results, you need to have all of those methods combined. Eccentric overload, metabolic training, and also progressive overload using both volume and additional weight on the bar as your mechanisms. Guys, if you're looking for a program that weaves all these in at the appropriate time so that you're not missing out on any one and you're not listening to sort of the bro science you've heard in the past that made you run away from the light weights for fear that you would not build muscle with them, that program is over at athletenex.com. All of our programs actually put the science back in strength. If you click the link below this video, you'll find our program selector tool that will help you to find the program that is most aligned with your current goals. In the meantime, if you found this video helpful, leave your comments and thumbs up below. Let me know what else you want to see here, and I'll do my best to cover it for you in the days and weeks ahead. All right, guys, see you soon.